Hi, welcome back. My name is Michelle and you're watching Michelle's Life. Today I wanted to do a review on More Happy Than Not. First, I wanted to take you on a small adventure of my history with this book.
There is a bit of sci-fi because we deal with some memory alterations, but for the most part it reads like a contemporary. It's about a boy named Aaron who has had some rough stuff happen to him lately.
Sounds like a good book. I guess I'll add it to my TBR pile. Adam Silvera is gonna be at CFest? Man, I really need to read that book, like, now. Overdrive! So I went to CFest and I met Adam Silvera. I got him to sign my book. I only read the 10%, so he left me a little message saying that he hopes I enjoy the next 10%. I really need to read this, like, now. So I just got a text from my best friend Jody, and she's in the middle of More Happy Than Not, and she says that I need to read it like right now. I am in the middle of a buddy read with Raoul, and we're reading A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray, but my best friend just said I need to read this book right now. So I guess I'm gonna do that. I just finished this book in 2 days. Let me review it for you guys. So as those cheesy clips showed you, I've wanted to read this book for some time now, and the final push to read it was from my friend Jody saying, you need to read this. So within 2 days, I read through this book, fell in love, and then had a massive hangover. The first big thing that sold me on this book after reading the first 10% was that it is told from a low income class setting, and normally when you read YA it's from a middle to higher income setting where these kids are able to do amazing things because they have the money to take these amazing road trips and do all these crazy adventures. And sometimes I have a hard time relating to those things because as a child I didn't have the money to experience a lot of those things. So when I started reading this and I saw how Aaron, our main character, hung out with his neighbors, even though they all didn't get along, but they were all in the same place. They were all this, they were all in the same class of as far as money is concerned, and they all stuck together in a tight-knit group. Aaron lives in a one-bedroom apartment with his brother and mother, and for the longest time they shared a bed, and now Aaron and his brother sleep out in the living room. And it's just a really interesting setting, and I really want to read more books told from a lower class setting. The book takes place in the Bronx of New York. I loved that it was a real location, even though this book also has science fiction elements. If you don't know anything about this book, it is about a boy named Aaron Soto who wants to go through this procedure of erasing memories from his brain, and he thinks that by doing so he can get rid of the feelings that he has towards another boy. That was all I really knew before going into this book. Again, with the low class setting, Aaron doesn't have your typical YA friends. His best friend is a drug dealer. They also have another friend called Me Crazy who kind of has some loose screws and is slightly violent. Also, several of the kids his age are hooking up and getting girls pregnant, and that's just normal. One of the biggest things that I really appreciated about this book as well was how real Aaron was as a character. I love that he talked about things like want versus need, and I found when I was growing up that it was hard making some friends that were better off than I was because I had difficulty understanding their definition of want versus need, and they had a problem understanding my definition of want versus need. And I just really appreciated him bringing that up in this novel and what it means to be a lower class citizen, and just the way that your wants and needs are different. I liked the way that he showed his embarrassment of bringing friends over, not being able to go on field trips and buy the newest books and the most expensive comics like all of his schoolmates were doing at the time. And I fell in love with Aaron, and I wish we could have been best friends growing up. One of the things in this book as well was mentioned several times, where they're hanging out outside and Aaron and his friends are eating snack cakes and drinking Arizona iced teas. And one of the highlights of my summers was walking down to the little convenience store and buying those really small Arizona iced tea cans and grabbing like an iced honey bun, and that was like, we felt rich by doing that and being able to afford those snacks to then go back and have a picnic, and we would share everything. And every time that he would mention Arizona iced tea in this book, I would get so excited at that memory. I also love that this book didn't really talk about all the technology that we have, even though it had a science fiction element as far as the Loteo treatment, but it didn't talk about kids on their phones or anything like that because of the setting, and it made me more nostalgic for my childhood. Alright, so now that I've gushed about randomness, I want to talk more precisely about characters. I felt that Adam Silvera was very good at creating individual characters. Not all of them were fully fleshed out, but they weren't all main characters. I felt that Aaron was a very, very strong protagonist, and I loved all of the people that were really important to him. His mother was a really strong character. I felt that she was really strong. Of course, she was human and she had her weak moments, as we all do. I loved his girlfriend in the beginning, Genevieve? I don't remember exactly, but I loved her personality and how caring she was. And then the love interests in this book as well, beside Genevieve's, because if I didn't mention already, this is a queer fiction. It is a gay YA novel. So the love interests in this book were also unique and I thought really well developed. I love the way that Adam Silvera was able to use the treatment as like a metaphor. I just really thought that this book was really good at portraying that message of people are who they are. I love the way this book discussed platonic love versus romantic love, the line in between the two, and how separating those two can cause a lot of heartache. I thought that was really interesting. Anyway, on to the writing style. Silvera's writing and voice in this novel was very clear and very unique and very enjoyable. Silvera's voice felt very authentic for the location that the book was supposed to be set in. I pictured the characters actually saying these things. It sounded realistic and believable. I also thought that the pacing was really good. It kept me thinking, and at points I would think to myself, well, that's not correct, and then later on he would fill me in and I would say, oh, duh. So I thought that he fed us just enough information and then like slapped us in the face in a good way. I don't know how to explain that correctly, but it definitely kept you reading and kept you intrigued. This book was very real and very raw. The message that Silvera gets across by using the science fiction element of the Loteo, I thought was genius. I can't really say too much more about it because I don't want to spoil anything. If you have been wanting to find another gay YA after reading Aristotle and Dante, I definitely recommend reading this one. Aaron reminded me of Aristotle in a lot of ways, in the way that he is inside his head all the time, and the way that he thinks about things, and the fact that he can't swim. One thing that I know for sure is that I shouldn't have put this book off for so long, and that if you've been thinking about reading it, you should do it. Like today. Anyway, that's all I have for this review. It was a little rambly at times. I apologize. I haven't done a review in, I guess, a long time. But thank you all so much for watching, liking, subscribing. Let me know down below in the comments if you've read this book or you want to read it. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.